What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media. This is, of course, the Truzz the Bank podcast. Myself and Joshua, we are here. This is the first set of the off-season podcast. Should be at least weekly. We're also going to be looking to do some live streams as well, hopefully weekly with that. Live streams probably maybe on the weekends or so, and then midweek podcasts. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of talk about the draft, talk about free agency, talk about trades. But in this episode, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're just seeing the first segment right here. If you're listening on the podcast platform, you can check out the YouTube as well. But if you want to hear the rest of the topics, you can go check out Spotify. And that actually has video format. So if you want to see I just want to see the faces, Spotify has video format as well. And I also don't think there's Spotify ads, or maybe that has to do with your Spotify membership. I don't really know exactly how that works. But should be a lot of fun. The topics that we're going to be talking about is, of course, Lamar Jackson is expected to be tagged by the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Tyler Snoop Huntley, the Pro Bowler. All right. Then we're going to be talking about the offensive coordinator options where, we're interviewing guys, talk about maybe some of the coaches that we like. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with a what to do with pick 22. Should we trade it? Should we trade up? Trade back, trade it for a player, draft offense, defense, players that we like, all that sort of stuff. Should be a lot of fun, but let's jump right into it. The Baltimore Ravens, per basically every single person, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, Field Yates, all of the major NFL people are saying the Ravens are expected to tag Lamar Jackson. And I just want to say that's expected. That's smart. Because here's the thing, if you don't tag Lamar, he can go sign to another team and there's nothing you can do. But Joshua, what are your thoughts on just kind of that? Because the Ravens are also in a cap situation where they probably wouldn't be able to pay Lamar if he's on the cap at the start of the year. So they would have to trade or cut people and do things like that. What are your thoughts on kind of that situation?
I mean, the good thing about it, I heard that they already said that the cap space went up, so I believe the Ravens are up now additional $8 million in this possible cap availability. I know if we do the exclusive tag for Lamar Jackson, it'd be like a $45 million hit. At the end of the day, the Ravens know how to penny pinch and make some things happen. So that's one thing I'm not worried about them being cheap and making some moves. They know how to. We all know the Ravens organization, they could be cheap and get some great value out of some decent players. I mean, there are a lot of guys that's under 30 that's going to be free agent as far as wide receiver this upcoming free agency pool. So I mean, there's definitely moves to be made, and then you also going to have some guys, such as JPP, Justin Houston, Calais Campbell, that's going to possibly want to take those minimums as well. Even Marcus Peters, who say he does want to finish his career here in Baltimore. He has expressed how he's willing to take a vet minimum. So you're finding some guys that wants to be in here, even though we're on the outside looking in, saying that the organization is being ran to shambles, but there obviously is some good things about Baltimore Ravens organization that these players still want to be a part of this organization, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and you always see that from the vets that have played in other places, and then they come to Baltimore and they're like, "Oh, yeah, let's stay here." Like you see that from Calais and Houston and Marcus Peters as well. Like Marcus Peters has been around the block, played with Kansas City, played with the Rams, now with the Baltimore Ravens, and it's like, wow, you can tell that the Ravens want to find a home for these guys, to kind of finish out their careers. They're chasing milestones while also, actually playing really good football. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing that is interesting about the Ravens that I always hear is people complain that the Ravens are unwilling to spend money when they spend to the maximum every single year. They just spend it on different things than people want. People are like, oh, the Ravens aren't going to pay Lamar because they don't want to be in a situation like Joe Flacco was in. Here's the deal, guys. That is a very legitimate concern, and that is why people don't give quarterbacks fully guaranteed deals, because sometimes, no matter how talented you are, it was looked at. Russell Wilson signed that contract extension, and it was like, yeah, that's a slam dunk contract. Yeah, that's totally fine giving all that guarantees. That's Russell Wilson. And then it's like, what the heck happened to Russell Wilson? Players can fall off, players can get injured. There can be situations where it's like, oh yeah, this guy hasn't played in a few years. We see guys like Alex Smith. Not saying Alex Smith was on some crazy guaranteed deal, but if he was, the Commanders or whoever had him sign, he was on the Commanders when he got hurt. They would have been in a really tough spot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Lamar's going to get hurt. I'm just saying like you don't want to be putting all of your eggs into one basket. And so I understand the concern. Would I give Lamar Jackson a guaranteed contract? Yeah. Or at least 80% guaranteed. Like I'm fine with doing it. I'm willing to take that risk, but it's also, that's not my check to cut. It's very easy to spend someone else's money.
Yeah.
And then when you're looking at it and you're going, okay, we could just franchise tag him for 2 years and figure out the money elsewhere. But the Ravens, they have the money and they can also restructure some big contracts. Marlon Humphrey can be restructured. Ronnie Stanley is the biggest cap hit on the Ravens. He's getting hit at like $20+ million.
And even cutting Nick Boyle would save him some money as well.
Yeah, we can save money without Boyle. We can save money without guys like I think Duvernay would be the biggest one of like players that I feel like are real contributors that we should keep. Where it's like, oh, if we do trade Duvernay and try and find another wide receiver in the draft or something like that, we could save money there. Gus Edwards could be a big name that I'm seeing. Which I don't know if I would hate that. Like, I think I would be fine with that, whether a trade or a cut, even though he's very good, to get the money to work. The biggest way to get the money to work is you sign Lamar to a contract and you just have the money delayed over the, next few years. And people are like, oh, but then in, 2026, the Ravens are paying him $60 million. And then you go, no, but this is how you work it. You say in 2025, you're like, man, you're getting paid a lot. How about we give you a 5-year extension and we reduce that money and we push it farther ahead and you just, put it on layaway and you just don't ever pay it until they retire or you trade him at the back end of their deal and are able to do it. So, I'm not worried about the Ravens' ability to pay Lamar Jackson. It's whether or not they'll get that negotiation done. And I saw Joshua, I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this. I saw Jeff Zrebiec talking to somebody on Twitter about the Ravens have been in the standstill with Lamar Jackson for so long. Do you feel the Ravens have been at a standstill and are you concerned at all of the Ravens' ability to negotiate? Do you think they're going to be changing up their offer? Or are they going to try and stand true to what they originally offered last year?
I think, honestly, I do think this, if what everybody's saying is true with him being franchise tag, I think this is going to be a prove it all year. I feel like this will be a prove it year for Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, even the new OC that they'll possibly bring in. I mean, yeah, they done had, I wouldn't say disagreements, but like EDC said at the end of the year presser, at the end of the day, we love Lamar Jackson as a person and things of that nature. But when it comes to the business side, things can get a little dicey, which is totally understandable. Now, I don't know if he's carrying the attitude like, hey, I didn't save Baltimore, I didn't keep Baltimore relevant, which is exactly true. I don't mind him, voicing his opinion, but at some time, as a person knows their worth, they do need to meet. They do need to meet in the middle, and but if as a person knowing their worth, they don't feel like they were being well compensated, then they gotta do what's best for them. So I feel like Lamar Jackson he's on the continuous of betting on himself, pretty much want to play this thing out. I don't see a contract extension getting done over the summertime. I don't. I feel like Lamar Jackson is actually going to want to. I think he will play on the franchise tag. I mean, we've had Terrell Suggs play on the franchise tag as well before we gave him a contract extension. And, even though he didn't finish out as a Raven, he still gave us a lot of good years with us and a lot of energy. And I feel like, I feel like that could be a possible situation with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and I get that concern, because obviously I don't think Lamar is going to back down. I think he knows his worth and he's going to try and stay there. I think the biggest thing that the Ravens can do, the most important thing, is getting that offensive coordinator to be someone that Lamar's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy into this. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you don't bring in the right guy, like I think that's the most important part. I don't think it's about the money. I mean, like obviously it's about the money, but I think if the Ravens go up to him and they say, hey, we want to send you to a 5-year deal. We just got you this great new offensive coordinator. It's insert person C that's like, oh, mate, they're not actually that good. Whatever. I don't fully believe in them. They're not super experienced. And they talk with Lamar and he's kind of like, yeah, whatever. Or they go up to him and they go, hey, we're bringing you this guy. He, maybe it's the Bills wide receiver coach. And he goes, hey, Lamar, this is what I've done. I went out there and I was hired and we brought in Stephon Diggs for Josh Allen. And Josh Allen has turned Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis into a high-powered passing offense. You look at the recent offensive coordinators, the people from this McDermott tree. You look at Brian Dabble, offensive coordinator. I was with him, goes over to the Giants. Immediate success. Daniel Jones completely transforms his game. Great success. You look at Ken Dorsey, who came up underneath him. Oh, what happened? He was the quarterback's coach. The Buffalo Bills offense still very good. There wasn't like some major drop off. Josh Allen was throwing a little bit more picks, but it was still a very good offense. I'm the wide receivers coach. What makes that team go? It's the wide receivers, and I'm in charge of developing those guys. I'm not saying that Hall is my number one go-to guy, but I'm just saying, you have a guy that gives a pitch like that to Lamar, and he goes, you know what? I do believe in this guy. I believe in this team. Let's lock it in for maybe, it's a little bit less guaranteed. Because I actually don't think the Ravens and Lamar are actually that far off.
Yeah.
I just think they're kind of playing a little bit of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a lot of time to do that. They got a lot of time to just say, hey, Lamar, what do you want this offseason? And then they're going to give him what he wants. And then they're going to say, okay, now you give us what we want. Let's get you in Baltimore for the next 5 years, next 6 years, 10 years, whatever it is. I'm not too worried about it, just because I feel like the Ravens know that they need to sign him, and he knows, hey, if they have the right guy, like I'm buying it, because he wants to be in the organization. He clearly does. He clearly likes the guys he's around. He's just got to make sure that he's got the the new people that come in are the same kind of level of, hey, I want to be with them.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody brings up, that he won the MVP under Greg Roman's scheme. You know what? Let's be real, y'all. 2019, the Greg Roman offense scheme was a nuance to the whole league. It pretty much got brought back to it got rejuvenated. They took the shocks and hit it one more time, and Lamar gave that thing life, and he went crazy. Nobody had no answer to stop it. I mean, so a lot of people, when you hear reporters saying, "Oh well, Greg Roman really put Lamar Jackson in a system for success," no, he didn't. He's hindered him back. He's held him back. When we constantly see, wide receivers not getting separation, when we got wide receivers constantly running into each other, as a quarterback, would I be a little hesitant to? Because for the past 4 or 5 years, if I'm supposed to be your franchise QB or y'all keep saying it, y'all haven't done nothing around me. There's a team that's literally in the Super Bowl that they're actually surrounding some pieces around their quarterback, and that I might feel like may win, or they're going to keep on building around that guy under his rookie contract. They're pretty much sold on him. They're trusting him and they letting him work out. So I mean, honestly, I don't see Lamar Jackson going anywhere for the simple fact that this QB class is a little better than a couple years before. I do feel like a lot of other teams that are needing of a QB are going to get their that QB out of this year's draft. So I feel like Lamar, with the exclusive franchise tag, that's pretty much Baltimore saying like, "Hey, we do trust in you. We're not letting no other team try to come in and take you. And just tell us what you want. We'll work on it. But like you said, McConnell, we got you your pieces. Now we need you to do this for us." So it definitely has to be a win-win situation for everybody all around.
Yeah, and you bring up the Greg Roman scheme. Let's transition